Games in Tucson, Arizona. The PBA is live on ESPN. Our 5 finalists are ready to roll. First from Buffalo, New York, the 2000 PBA Rookie of the Year. Today, making his first ever career TV appearance, it's Ciccone. The last time we saw this man on TV, he was winning his first career title at the 2003 ABC Masters from Roseburg, Oregon. Bryon Smith. From Wichita, Kansas, the 1998 PBA Rookie of the Year. His 2 career titles include the 1997 PBA National Championship. Steelsmith. Along his 5 career titles in the 2000 U.S. Open, and this season's home event, Omaha, Nebraska. From Thousand Oaks, California, you know him as Maximum Bob, Robert Smith. His 39 career titles are good for second all time. His 6th Player of the Year awards, time for a different. From Florida, PBA Hall of Famer Walter Ray Williams Jr. The PBA World Championship takes another critical step today here in Tucson, Arizona, the old Pueblo. On the line for our final 5. Dave Ryan, Randy Peterson, let's check in with the matchups.
Wildcard match pits Joe Ciccone in search of his first career title, and Bryon Smith, who beat Ciccone in the round of 8 last night to make the show. Semifinal number 1, Steelsmith looks for his first win since 1997 as he takes on Robert Smith, whose win of the season opener in Omaha earned him an exemption for next year. Walter Ray Williams Jr., who bowled 2 300 games this week, awaits the wild card winner in semi number 2.
It's Bryon Smith. It has been a long time since we've seen the right-hander from Oregon on TV. All the way back to last year's ABC Masters, which he won his first ever career title. And speaking of first ever TV shot comes up now for Joe Ciccone from Buffalo, originally from Candiotti, New York, near Syracuse. Joe and I go way back to the time he was a teenager working as a statistician on the TV show we did at Channel 3 in Syracuse. He's come a long way, Randy. Now, first ever ball here today.
Joe Ciccone, just a fountain of knowledge for our sport. He's truly a bowling historian.
TV crew goes a little high on the 7th pin for Joe C.
That wasn't even close.
It's a good shot, considering his first ever under the lights. Leaves a solid 7.
You know the kind of nerves he's going through right now. Here you see the single pin conversion rate in match play. Joe, perfect, along with Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Robert Smith. Steelsmith and Bryon Smith, the 5 finalists today in Tucson, leading us to the Baby Ruth Real Deal matchup, Randy.
Big numbers. Check out the averages and the strike percentage. Today will be no different. This week's lane conditions very conducive to high scores. You can see what Joe has done when he won. And look at his average and losses, almost 40 pin difference. This week it was pretty much all or nothing in match play.
Got some tape on that right index finger. It's shaking a little bit, Randy. He's got to be nervous. You know, first ever TV appearance. Remember yours, I'm sure. In the pocket. And a first TV strike for Joe Ciccone, who usually spends TV Sundays as our scorekeeper in our production truck. He moves out to the lanes today.
Nice soft stroke. Joe can play the lanes a couple of different ways. He can go straight and hard if he wants. He can throw the slow loop. Decided to go to the slow loop. That ball was nice and soft, perfect in the pocket.
One of the 2 Smiths, it's Bryon. We have on our show here today in Tucson. Different path to the pocket for Bryon Smith. And a big strike.
Bryon Smith going with his A game, which is nice and firm and direct, a lot of ball speed. This week we had a lot of friction on the lanes.
beat Joe Ciccone last night here in Tucson in the round of 8. But Joe was the wild card because he was the highest qualifier among the round of 8 losers last night. That was potentially a very close match between Bryon Smith and Joe. At 2-1, Joe had a shot to even the match, but ended up falling in 5. Yes! Right out that pocket again to Rick Bryon. Playing straight at the 1-3 pocket, and Smith strikes again.
6-pin goes to the sidewall, behaves properly, takes the 10 out. And that was the ticket this week. If you could get the corner pins out, you were going to bowl big games because it was fairly easy to get to the pocket.
Joe Ciccone, first ever ready to win the National Collegiate Bowler of the Year honor twice in a career. It has been done once since. At Erie Community College in Buffalo, New York in '94. Then at Arizona State, not far from where we are here. About 110 miles or so. In Tempe, Arizona. We are in Tucson today. That was in '97 when he was the National Player of the Year at that level.
You can see what Joey's done this week. Took out Mika Koivuniemi in 5 games. And he is the wild card because the highest qualifier to lose in the round of 8.
74 career events without a win for Joe Ciccone, and now on TV for the first time.
Joe's actually using a finger grip. It's a modified finger grip on his index finger because of the big blister he's got on the inside part.
Yeah, I showed his finger last night in the meetings, and it was pretty beaten up. He was on the money with that last strike ball.
This week, friction to the right. Watch this ball look like somebody kicks it left right into the 1-3. Perfect shot. This match all even after 4. However, Bryon Smith perfect. 3 strikes in a row.
Joe has had to hasten his approach and delivery a little bit. Last night we were watching the round of 8. Things a little slow for Joe. But he's had to speed things up to avoid that shot clock violation we have on TV. Back to Bryon Smith. One more time in the pocket.
Last year at the Masters, Bryon Smith again, his A game. Watch this, nice and firm and direct, right around the first arrow. Although the lane's not as forgiving at the Masters as they were this week, check this out. Just a board or 2 left of that, same result. Boy, and it's nice when you can use your A game. You don't have to try to manufacture a ball reaction.
He's been red hot. Looks for number 12 in a row. This from a bowler who had completely had his confidence shattered just a couple of weeks ago. Yes! Bakers does it for Bryon Smith. Says everything was falling apart for him as you see Ciccone down by 20 pins, but works on a strike and a 4-bagger, chance to make it a 10-pin match. For Bryon, back to a sports psychologist he had used at the University of Oregon to help get the mental focus back in line, and it's worked.
He said 2 weeks ago he absolutely hated bowling. He was down mentally. All it takes out here on the PBA Tour is 1 week to turn yourself around.
60 feet to success. First time we can say that in Joe Ciccone's career on TV.
Beautiful shot. And your first time on TV, it certainly helps when you have some room to get to the pocket. This shot is perfect. Watch it coming right at you. 5-pin goes into the 8. Perfection there.
Great look from our crew, led by Mike Roth, our producer. Happy birthday to Mike tomorrow. 37, can it be? Oh.
Happy birthday, Mike Roth.
Our director, Scott Katz, as usual. Our great crew here, live coverage on ESPN of the PBA Tour as we march toward that World Championship. Just a few weeks down the road now. He is rolling hot. Great match, all even. Smith, Ciccone, wild card continues next. ESPN's exclusive live coverage of the PBA Odor Eaters Open is brought to you by Miller High Life. To live simply, proudly, boldly, manly, this is the High Life. By Dexter, Bowling, Golf, and Casual, we have the right shoe for you. And by Bear Aspirin, take it for pain, take it for life. Beautiful Tucson, Arizona, Catalina Mountains. 65, 70 degrees, green grass, cactus. Great out here. All even, speaking of great, the wild card match in Tucson. Welcome back to the desert, everyone. Dave Bryan, Randy Peters, along with our great PBA crew here on ESPN's live coverage of the tour. Big numbers possible today. Walter A. Williams Jr., we'll see him later, Randy, in the show, said possibility today for not one, but maybe 2 300 games on Patterson, big scores, and maximum Bob. Robert Smith throws so hard.
Robert Smith, the last time we saw him, he won on Patterson the first tournament of the year in Omaha. The last time we bowled on Patterson was Windsor Locks, Connecticut, and we know what happened there. Mika Koivuniemi bowling a perfect 300 game. Today, we only have one non-strike. That was the first frame when Joe Ciccone left the 7-pin.
Pattern E, it's shorter. Why is it so beneficial for higher numbers?
Because Pattern E plays exact opposite of what happened last week. Dry outside, oil inside. It's like bumpers to the outside part of the lane. Whether you're going straight or you're hooking it, that ball is going to get to that friction spot and find its home to the 1-3 pocket.
PBA Tour's official website, PBA.com, your best source for all the latest PBA news, tournament results, and stats. Follow the march to the PBA World Championship as 8 bowlers try to qualify for the Super Round of 16. Find out who currently holds down the top 8 spots and who's on the bubble. It's a very exciting time of the year. Just a few events to go now in our season leading up to Ypsilanti, Michigan, the Eastern Michigan University campus. You can log on as well to our website for great arena seats available. Back to a great match here in Bryon Smith, who's on the money again.
Good shot out of the break.
We talked about the march to the PBA World Championship. Brad Angelo, who has not won to clinch an exemption, is tops in points. Pete Weber, 2-time winner on tour in the second half of our season. He has been red hot. 25,000 points to the winner. 20,000 to the runner-up. That's very key as the guys try to get to that round of Super 16, the top 8 in the World Championship.
Right now, Bryon Smith, front 7, 2 more strikes. He will win $10,000 bonus from Cambridge Credit Counselors. A perfect 300 game, they'll give him a $20,000 bonus.
Yeah, just said it moments ago, we may see a couple 300s. Bryon Smith is getting closer.
This ball gets left of target and needs to hold, and it does. The last time we saw 300, Windsor Locks, Connecticut, Mika Koivuniemi playing the exact same line that Bryon Smith is playing.
That was the 16th in PBA Tour history. Norm Duke before that against Walter A. Williams Jr. We'll see Walter later on the show. That was January 5th of 2003. December 7th of last year. That was Mika's perfect game en route to a tour championship. Now it's back to Joe Ciccone, who somehow got overcome how hot Bryon Smith has been with his own strike ball. We had 11 300 games, folks, this week on our tour, including Tom Baker, who's filling in today for Del Bell as our statistician. Thanks for Tom's efforts today.
Joe Ciccone using 2 different bowling balls, a more aggressive bowling ball on the left lane. And right now, Bryon Smith is perfect through 7. Joe Ciccone spare 6 in a row. If Joe Ciccone strikes out and Bryon misses once before the 10th frame, Bryon Smith will lose.
Pattern E means big numbers, everyone. You got to just keep striking. That's the key. Late help, 10-pin no for Joe, who told us all he really was hoping to get out of his first ever TV appearance. Good experience to have fun out there and just to learn, and he's doing a lot of that today.
Big time ring and 10. He knew through it good. And needed that one to strike. Now spare here. If he strikes out, he will shoot 269. Needs some help from Bryon Smith. Bryon Smith perfect through 7.
As we mentioned, last 300 we saw was Mika, who since has made a nice run for Player of the Year honors. In 02, Bryon Smith threw the front 10. Looks for 8 in a row. He's 2 away from the big bonus. Does he have 8 straight? Hit it! 10-pin. Oh, it will stand.
Good shot.
And light for Joe Ciccone at the same time. The match gets very interesting now.
We still have a match. Comes in a little light. Looked like it was a bit firm. Leaving the week 10. Right now with a spare here, Bryon Smith can strike out for 279. The best Joe Ciccone can shoot 269. But if Bryon Smith goes 9 spare here, 9 spare in the 9th, and strikes out, Joe Ciccone strikes out, Joe Ciccone will win by 1 pin.
Bryon Smith has not been on TV, folks, for more than a year. First ever TV appearance for Joe Ciccone. Works on a spare. Does Joe. There are the numbers. Pressure starts to mount. Joe's quickly learning what bowling on TV is all about. He did that as an amateur quite a bit. In college, certainly had some huge matches, but this would be the most pressure he's ever faced as a pro.
And he certainly isn't bowling an amateur right now.
High there, 4-pin stands. Lucky to avoid what could have been a disastrous split.
And that was simply a bad shot. This ball way left of target, and he gets a huge break, tripping the 7 and the 10 out. Here's the situation. He spares here. Joe Ciccone can get up and strike out 9th and 10th and lock this match up.
These are the moments he calls on a sports psychologist, Kay Porter of the University of Oregon, to help out with. Crucial pressure. Does convert the 4, takes care of the mark. As Randy mentioned, the door is open. Joe Ciccone does have 1 shot clock violation. We told you he's very deliberate in his style. Has the routine that all of you players, Randy, have on the tour. He's had to compress things a bit for the show.
He's had to tighten it up. He's very methodical.
Big shot foundation frame. Had a hurry. He does so in the pocket.
Shot here is pretty good. Dead flush. Right in the 1-3. Joe's hearing things now, and right now is the time that he needs to concentrate the job at hand and throw 3 perfect shots right here in the 10th frame to advance.
Apparently a camera clicked very close to his right there. Fans in our bowling center here in Tucson are right on top of the pros. Best seat in the house in professional sports. Can't get closer to the action. Big shots like this. 10 more down.
You can see how aggressive the movement is on that left lane. Joe taking a re-rack now to buy some time, gather his thoughts. A strike here and 9, we have the possibility of a tie.
Joe Ciccone is trying to make the exempt field 64-man field next year, folks. Going to be a lot of pressure on bowlers to try to get there, to win or be amongst the top players in points. These are the bowlers who are in, including Pete Weber, who won last week of the U.S. Open. Walter Ray already a couple titles. Robert Smith won in Omaha. We'll see him later today. Joe's on the outside looking in right now. He's had a good year. Another big shot. Look out. 4, 6, 7 for Joe.
Watch his follow through go left right here. See how it goes left in front of his face? Normally an indication that he lost the ball at the bottom of the swing and it was going to be pulled. That's exactly what happened.
Took the re-rack, tried to regain his focus, and unfortunately, disaster ensues.
And that was huge too, because if he just goes 9 spare, that would have forced Bryon Smith to throw 20 in the 10th frame. Instead, he loses the count, now he's at 255. Bryon Smith in the driver's seat on the good lane. He needs to fill 9 spare 9, and he will advance.
Just a mark. So much to learn in your first ever TV experience, Joe.
Oh, God.
Started right. Wow. And came all the way back to the pocket, flirting with a channel, and he wraps up the victory.
Right now, Bryon Smith having some issues, just trying to let go of it. But you can see that friction in the outside part of the lane, and you know what? If you get it there too quick, it overbounces. That time he got it there, missed it just enough, went flush, and you can see the reaction by Joe Ciccone. Bryon Smith just got a huge break there. Needs 8 on 2 balls. He's a winner.
Yes! We'll get another first.
Good shots, Bryon. Yes!
Bryon Smith is your winner.
He is off to the semifinals. He'll take on Walter Ray Williams Jr., with whom he hooked up in the finals of the ABC Masters last year and came out with a win. There's a spin ball down the middle, takes care of 10 more. And Joe Ciccone's first ever TV appearance comes to an end, but a very good showing for Joe C. Smith now on to the semifinals. Much more from Tucson to come. This week, 16-year Major League Baseball veteran Tom Candiotti brought his classic form, the knuckleballer, from baseball to the bowling lanes when he got tutored by our very own Randy Peterson. Randy's advice helped, but Candiotti finished 162nd out of 175 contestants at the Odor Eaters Open. And what family has spent more time at the bowling lanes here in Tucson than the Candiotti family? I don't think anyone has. Wife Donna, Casey, and Clark there as well, 5 years old, 3 years old. And we're joined by Tom Candiotti here in the booth, longtime veteran. And all those Major League teams, Oakland, the Brewers, Toronto, Cleveland, the LA Dodgers, the knuckleballer. Tom and I worked together in Little League World Series in South Williamsport, PA, so I've got 2 of my broadcast partners in one booth. This is a treat. How'd you get your start bowling, Candy? We know you've become very interested in it and, in fact, competing this week.
Well, I was telling Randy about it. It all started with cosmic bowling with a bunch of caddies. And we were playing for $5 a game and having fun. And until one guy comes out with a ball that he can lay on the lanes and hook like crazy. And wait, I said, how can I do that? So I went and saw the pro, and he fixed me up the fingertip grip. And next thing I know, I got an aggressive ball. And, hey, this is fun again.
Speaking of aggressive, watch this ball.
Robert Smith back on TV. First time since Omaha. There's the hit. On number 10, it goes down. Maximum Bob will absolutely cranks it with that high rev rate.
Watch this, the head pin going to the sidewall and just slaps the 10 silly. You have that much revs, that kind of ball speed, and that much power going through the pins. Tom, as you witnessed this week, it's almost unfair.
I've watched Robert all week, and it's incredible how hard he throws the ball, the kind of revs he puts on.
Rick Steelsmith. A little bit high. 4-pin stays up for Rick, who told us last night, completely shocked he got this far based on the way he had been bowling the last few weeks. So expectations for him are just happy to be here, basically. It's all a bonus.
Early on in the year, we saw players missing single pin spares. A lot of that possibly had to do with all the pressures of trying to get the exempt field. But notice the last 10 weeks, only 3 missed. Speaking of numbers, how about the Baby Ruth Real Deal matchup? And again, all you see are big numbers. Almost a 240 average for Robert Smith. Strike percentages, almost 3/4 of the time the ball hits the pocket, they're striking.
We are joined in the booth by Tom Candiotti, former Major League pitcher and our ESPN and ESPN2 Little League World Series baseball commentator, Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Candy, what was it like trying to qualify against pros like Rick Steelsmith this week?
Well, I tell you what, it was nerve-wracking when I looked at the pairings and I had a bowl hey, Williams Jr. and Danny Wiseman. But I had a blast with them, and just being able to watch how efficient they are and just how perfect their motion is and their mechanics are just so fundamentally sound. It was incredible. I don't think I saw Walter Ray miss a spare all week. Not that he had that many to shoot at.
Well, exactly. And Tom, the burning question for myself is, you bowled, you participated in 9 games of qualifying. Are professional bowlers athletes in your opinion?
There's not a question in my mind these guys are athletes. And like I said, they're just precision, and it's amazing how many times they just have to repeat your motion, repeat your shot, learn how to adjust to the different lane conditions and how they change during the course of those 9 games of qualifying. Don't let anyone ever tell you these guys are not athletes, because they are every bit an athlete.
So you competed with the pros like Robert Smith. Were you nervous? Nerves the same level as pitching in a Major League Baseball game?
Well, that was easy pitching a baseball game. When you take your head of your element, it gets a little nerve-wracking.
10 more down the pit for Maximum Bob. Robert Smith shreds the rack.
Well, remember, we talked about the bumpers to the outside part of the lane. Watch this. This ball looks like it's headed in. There's the friction. Here it comes. And watch this. It's like shrapnel back there. The guys in the pit are wearing hard hats when Robert Smith's bowling.
They should. Tom, how about the similarities between the approach and bowling delivery and in baseball? Do you find that there are some parallels there?
There's a lot of parallels with that. In pitching, you have to have the exact same mechanics. You have to be able to release the ball the same way. You have to be able to have the same type of approach as you come to. And also, you know, pitches, we have 4 or 5 different pitches we can throw. These guys out here, they might have 25 different shots that you can throw depending on the type of pattern you're using, depending on how it changes, how you have to keep the ball inside or outside. Just depends on the conditions.
First time we've seen Rick Steelsmith since Philly, where he lost to eventual champion Patrick Allen early on. Perfect shot. It's going to take a lot more of those because a turkey ball start for Robert Smith with 3 straight. So Steelsmith down by 21 pins. There's the road of the show in Tucson. 12-3 match play record over a .239 average. And Mr. 300, speaking of 300 games, Randy Bob Learn Jr. goes down in 4 games. Last night, the round of 8 here.
Bob slaughtered the pocket and never figured out how to get more than 9 in that entire match, and that was the difference. The guys that got here today were the guys that figured out how to get their ball to enter into the pocket at the right angle for maximum carry.
Good for the title today. Messenger across the deck. And down she goes. Number 10 falls late.
Playing the Joe Ciccone line. Here comes the head pin, bird dog. Woof, woof. See a 10 pin.
That hunts.
That hunts.
Candy, what'd you learn this week about your bowling game and what you're going to apply when you compete again on the bowling lanes?
Well, I was like a sponge all week, and it started with Randy and how he ended up helping me out. Fixed me up with some equipment that I had absolutely no idea how important equipment is to me. But also just the concentration, be able to visualize your shot before you execute it is so important here. Listen, in baseball, you make a bad pitch, and you might have a shortstop to bail you out, or center fielder might make a diving catch for you. Right here, you're looking at a 7-10 split or something you can't pick up. You're out there all by yourself.
Great start for Robert Smith. 4-bagger, looks for 5 in a row here.
Unusual grip called the Sarge Easter grip, where his middle finger is fingertip and his ring finger is conventional.
Loves this pattern. It goes so short on the back end. The friction starts early, helps the big boomer style. And he's got 5 in a row. Next week, we're off to the Days in Open in Dallas, Texas, 12:30 Eastern Time. Note that start time. We are at 12:30 in the East, 9:30 on the West Coast. And if you're in Tucson, 10:30 Mountain Time. Chris Barnes, who is working today filling in for Joe Ciccone as one of our official scorekeepers in our production truck, tries to defend his title in Dallas. Lane 12, 7-pin up for Rick Steelsmith.
Rick's ball just looks like it's losing energy as it's entering the pins, and that's because there's too much friction being created early. Robert Smith, as hard as he throws it, only creates friction down the lane.
Now, Candy, your family is into bowling big time. We know your son bowls in a league with, what, some 15-year-olds your wife, Donna, was telling us yesterday?
Yeah, he's in a league with 15-years-olds. He threw
Wow.
184 a couple weeks ago.
184? He's 5 years old. Wow. Oh, 184.
He's got about a 125 average, so. I thought it was very interesting when I was watching these guys warm up, how they end up throwing a lot of spare balls early on in their practice rounds. Something that a lot of people don't really see a lot.
Well, there's a reason for that. A lot of times what players are doing is they're trying to move oil down the lane to create a little hold spot in the center of the lane. By throwing plastic balls down the lane, you can do that.
6 frames, Steelsmith. And a 10-pin up for him. It's going to be difficult. 5-bagger front 5 to start for Robert Smith. Bryon Smith, Robert Smith, Rick Steelsmith.
Any Jones? No, Tommy Jones. Tommy Jones had a great week, though.
That he did.
I'm just going to make a sign that said, "Go Smith."
I think you're okay there. up the 10. Tom Candiotti, former big leaguer, Little League World Series commentator. Thanks for joining us. All right, great to see Candy.
See you, Randy.
And the Candiotti family. 180 plus, huh? We're coming for the Odor Eaters Open. Golden Pin Lanes, Tucson, Arizona. Right here in the great Southwest, the desert. A beautiful outside, warm sunny day, and the action hot and furious inside as well. Robert Smith has the front five and a 33-pin lead now on Rick Steelsmith from Wichita, Kansas. Robert has his young daughter Kayla tuned in today, we're sure, from Southern California. She's 6.5 years old. A chance to cheer on Dad in person at the US Open last week. Look out, that's not an easy spare to convert. 4-9.
Okay.
Got it to the hook spot a little too quick. And leaves the dreaded 4-9.
Trying to improve on that number certainly here and get his first split conversion of the week in Tucson. 4-9. Just takes the 4 out, 9 stands, open frame. Can Rick Steelsmith take advantage midway through the match?
A Dexter spare ball to a Dexter approach. Maximum bob. High back swing for ball speed. Here comes the load. Watch this. Look at the bend there. And here comes the unload. It's got to get into a straight line. What does that create? Well, take a look at this. That's slow-mo. Here's real speed. Look out. That's some serious revolutions.
27 revs per shot. As we see his match play record got by Hilgendorf in a roll-off in Game 5 where he threw a strike. And match play, look at the numbers. They are mind-boggling. You can throw it, folks, up to 34 miles an hour. That strike call. Lane 11, there's a strike for it. That's the fastest on tour. The average speed on tour, about 18 miles an hour, 16 revs. 34 miles an hour, 27 revs. Unbelievable stats if you think about that.
Well, it's 34 miles an hour on a spare shot.
Right.
The strike ball is probably around 21, but he does throw hard, but he has the revolutions to back it up. If he didn't have the rev rate, he'd throw a straight ball.
Smith trying to take advantage of that open frame from Robert Smith, leaves the 10.
I think so.
Rick
It's great,
Sauce.
Oh,
it's great to see Bold last night against Bob Learn. Right now, he's getting a little dose of Bob Learn medicine. Hitting the pocket every ball and getting 9.
Rick did see his family a couple weeks ago in Wichita, but is going to take next week off. Not going to compete in Dallas. He's okay on points. Stands 17th on tour with minimum points earned today in the show, even if he loses the match here to Robert Smith. Coming up next on ESPN NHL All-Stars, Matthias Nordstrom lead the LA Kings against Martin Brodeur. Rob Niedermeyer and the defending Stanley Cup champion New Jersey Devils. Catch the NHL next on ESPN 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 11 on the West Coast. More log on ESPN.com. The defending champs against LA, Andy Murray's bunch going east. Ten-pin.
Rick Steelsmith getting to the pocket, not figuring out a way to get the 10 out, and not taking advantage of the open frame by Robert Smith. Down 21. Rick Steelsmith's angle around the 12th board out to about the 3rd board. See that ball quit. Robert Smith right around the same spot. Now, even though Robert Smith has a higher rev rate, he throws it harder. That's why he's able to play in the same spot.
Quick correction on the New Jersey Devil promo we read. Scott Niedermeyer is the great defenseman who plays for Jersey. Rob, his brother, plays for Anaheim. He made the Cup Finals against the Devils last year. So straight line on out for the hockey fans. Scott, great skating defenseman, not Rob.
Robert Smith's ball, when it gets to the pocket, is not losing energy, and that's why he's carried 7 out of 8 shots. The 4-9 in the 6th frame, a miscue for him. Ball drifted high. But right now, he is in the driver's seat.
Up 31. Trying to wrap it up after a 14-event drought without a TV appearance. Zero throw it hard. And the 10 stays up.
Right initials. Come on, pick it up. Pick it up.
Spare here, Robert Smith will be in the 230s. The best Rick Steelsmith can shoot, 225.
Hey,
Look
man,
out. Wow. Cranks it. And that's where we get that incredible pace on the spare ball. A long drought for Rick Steelsmith, 121 events, perhaps now and counting without a win. March 29th of 97 over Bryon Voss, PBA National Championship in Toledo, his last title. He won that one 218 to 190. Another former PBA Rookie of the Year. Trying to stay alive. Not that way.
Rick made a ball change, tried to get a little bit different look. Had to throw that one a little bit harder because that ball is a little bit more aggressive. Moves in just a pinch, and this ball just quits on him down the lane.
Be a long drive coming up for Rick. Between 14 and 15 hours back to Wichita from here in Tucson. He'll have plenty of time with his family, skipping the Dallas tour stop. He was very confident with his 17th ranking in tour points that he's okay for the exempt tour next year. Starts again in lane 11.
That was fun.
These are the 5 on TV today, including Rick Steelsmith, 17th spot, march to the PBA World Championship. Points are critical to make that round of Super 16, get the automatic bye there. Bypass all the qualifying and match play. In the round of 32, you're right to round of 16. All 10 down there. Trying to put a little more pressure on Robert Smith.
Rick Steelsmith, the first half of the season was as good as anybody out here. Second half, really struggled. He said he was not bowling well. He told us last night, not thinking well, not doing anything well. But this is a really good week for him, something out of the blue. He doesn't really like pattern E because he likes lower scores. And of course, now that it's over, we're all but over. He strikes out.
Just 4 pins now for Robert Smith, and he wraps up the match to put him in to the finals. Try to win his 2nd tour title of the year. He told us he had the goal of making 5 TV shows this year. This is number 2. Hey, there's still a chance for the hot finish down the stretch, and this is over. Middle milestones features coming up. Steve Hoskins will talk about his 94 win. In addition to the next match, Bryon Smith, Walter A. Williams Jr. ESPN's exclusive live coverage of the PBA Odor Eaters Open is brought to you by new Odor Eaters Plus, the only arch-supporting insole that protects against odor and wetness. By Geico, a 15-minute phone call could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Uniroyal, the official tire of the PBA Tour. Uniroyal tire is trusted by American families since 1892. Beautiful Tucson, Arizona. Tucson.org. Be sure to visit to check out the greatest hiking and golfing anywhere in the Southwest. 2 matches down, 2 to go. Robert Smith over Steelsmith. Ciccone in his first ever TV appearance with Bryon Smith in the wildcard match. PBA returns to Tucson after a 3-year absence. Among the winners here, Steve Hoskins made the most interesting story. We'll hear from him in this week's Miller Milestone.
Tucson, which was, you know, a place where I'd had a high by beating Walter for the title. I also had just had one of the lowest points in my career, which was, you know, almost ruining it. I broke my hand after I bowled Brian Himmler on the show. I left a solid 8 to lose and went back and hit a steel door that was bolted shut to the paddock and broke my knuckle in 3 spots. Wasn't sure if my career was over because I did something stupid. And then I came out in '97 in the fall which was, you know, that same year, and had the best fall of my life. Won twice, won a major, shot 300 on TV. I was coming off 6 months off, my first telecast since the broken hand. I got the front nine against the best player in the world. Holy cow. You know, you sit down on the bench, it's like, you know, you pinch yourself, it's something you dream about. I may never get an opportunity to do that again. And to get up in the 10th, I mean, it was so surreal, it's as if I wasn't even throwing the bowling ball. You get up, boom, 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 and then shoot 300. The next match, I bowled Rick Steelsmith, and I needed a double and a 10th to win. Punch with your left hand.
Steve Hoskins, subject this week's Miller milestone. This Walter Ray Williams Jr. continuing his quest, too shy, the late great Earl Anthony. 39 titles and counting. Will number 40 come today? We'll find out.
See that pin in the middle?
Knock it down.
With help from her coach, Walter Ray Williams Jr. yesterday, Nikki Whiff of Newton, Illinois, competing in the Odor Eaters split with $1 million on the line. First a 5-pin worth $1,000, then getting it to the pocket for $10,000, which she did. Amazing shot. So she's up $11,000 already. Finally, it's the big one. A 7-10 split for Nikki. If she makes it, $1 million. As you can imagine, she didn't quite hit this one, but still $11,000 and some great memories. There's Nikki Whiff and her family coming to us from Illinois. Odor is split with $1 million contestant. Walter Ray Williams Jr. We saw Tommy Jones in there too, helping coach Nikki as she made the bid for the 7-10. What would you have told her about the 7-10? Advice?
I would have said throw it as hard as you can at the 10-pin and hope that it bounces out. Or 2 bowling balls and a broomstick.
Saw Bryon Voss, U.S. Open last week, Fountain Valley, California. Did convert that 7-10. Now it's Bryon Smith. Big match here. Walter Ray Williams Jr. All 10 down for him.
Bryon Smith using a different bowling ball than he used in his first match. Went from a particle bowling ball to a reactive resin ball.
39 titles and 6 times Player of the Year with a big loft. Different path to the pocket, 4-pin for Walter Ray. Has been on TV in his great career so many times. Knows about the weight. After the intros, you go and practice a little bit. Get mentally focused. Still can't be easy every time, though. You have to wait quite a while.
Well, he gets practice in between games, and you know what? You're on television 143 times, you're used to it.
Leading into our Baby Ruth Real Deal matchup, Smith and Walter Ray.
Check this out. Walter Ray averaged almost 250 for the entire week. Big, big numbers. 2 300 games. In the second round of qualifying, Walter Ray Williams Jr. averaged 263, a PBA record.
Wow. Some big numbers. There's the 10-pin up for him, so no strikes yet. Walter Ray told us last night in regards to the big numbers and pattern E that maybe this pattern's a little too easy. Might want to see a more competitive pattern out there because his logic is, we see the look of the 10-pin, you want to have the best in the game competing at the best level.
Well, he makes it on any pattern. It doesn't matter because he is the best. Is this pattern a little soft? Absolutely. Is it like a league shot or a house shot? Absolutely not. You still have to throw it good. You can't just go up there with a blindfold and put your feet anywhere you want and just chuck it down the lane. But you know what? Our scoring environment is different. If it was the same week to week, this would get boring after a while. We have tough U.S. Open conditions. We have medium conditions, and we have a high-scoring pattern E.
Damn it. 6-pin stands for Smith. Heading into this week, 50+ on the PBA Tour rankings list. Now with minimum points today earned, he's already done that. 37 and counting. He has a win already. Tells us he was completely irritated with everything surrounding the game. Really was not happy. He's a happier man now, though, as he tries to win his first tour title of the year. He'll try again next week at the Days Open in Dallas, Texas. As we head to Don Carter's All-Star Lanes West in a Lone Star, Steve. Heading to the Central Time Zone. 12:30 Eastern Time is the start. You guys need lots of points, certainly. There's the cut line, which has been changing because of Norm Duke's situation.
Norm Duke's been injured most of the year. Norm Duke has an exempt spot by winning the KC Open. That ball is perfect. That puts Norm Duke in, which drops the cut line now down to 49. Norm Duke scheduled to bowl next week. I spoke with him on the phone, as I do just about every week, and Norm, his quad injury is healed. He is practicing, and he is now 61st on the point list and told me, Randy, I will be in the top 50 before the end of the year.
The channel. There's Walter A. Williams Jr. The 10-pin stands for him.
Ball change for Walter Ray Williams Jr. Right now, both players look at the loft. Something you don't see Walter Ray do a lot of is loft and hook it. Normally it's loft and going straight. This week, he was throwing that big loft hook ball.
10 pins, the guy they call Deadeye. Many times the horseshoe pitching champion is Walter A. Williams Jr.
Check this out. Last year, just a little bit of loft. You see him playing the deep inside line about the 25th board, kind of rotating his hand around the side to get it to push right. Check this out this week. Big loft, a little more direct on that left lane.
10 down the pitch as we go back to the live action from Walter A. Williams Jr. Makes the proper adjustments. And has his first strike of the match after 3 consecutive spares.
The players know that they have room to get the ball in the pocket, but what they're trying to do is figure out how to get the ball to face the pocket the right way to strike. Walter Ray seems to have figured out the left lane.
2-pin lead Bryon Smith. Clinging to the advantage, trying to get himself to the championship match. 10-pin up for him. Amazing that he was so close to just shutting things down mentally. What a difference a year makes for him.
$100,000 came by way of the ABC Masters win for Bryon Smith. This year, you talked about it a second ago, he was 51st coming into this week and said that he really hasn't had a good look the entire year. The last time he made match play was in Toledo.
That's hard to believe.
Late last year.
The event won by Steve Jarris over Chris Johnson late. 5 of 16 events coming in. Bryon Smith has made match play. 11 of 16 cashes. It's not been a good season for him. But he told us last night things really started to turn around. The first rounds at the U.S. Open, he really felt like he had a good look. As we see the bowlers that made it to the round of 32, but not here to the TV show, including Mike Edwards returning to the tour after some time off. There's Parker Bowman III still battling to make the All-Exempt Tour next year. Good high there for Smith. And 3 stand, 3, 6, 10.
Well, Bryon Smith doesn't like this shot at all. This ball goes left, right through the nose. 3, 6, 10 standing. Right now, he has trouble figuring out why his ball didn't hit the pocket on that lane.
He tells us he belongs out here on tour. Big shots like that does cover for a nice mark. And avoids the open frame. Bryon said, hey, if I don't make the exempt tour, either by winning here today or one of the final events of the season, if I don't get enough points, then I'll go to the Q school over the summer and win that. He has confidence he can do it and feels that he is among the best in the world.
And I agree he is. And I think if you look at what he's done this year, he's stayed close without having a very good look.
10 down, spreading the rack is Walter Ray Williams Jr. He's won 6 major championships. There's the road to the TV show, including a win over Edwards last night. 4 straight games in the round of 8. Round by round, the numbers phenomenal. Told you about the record-setting second block of qualifying.
Not to mention consistent. 244, 247, 249. Big, big numbers.
Deadeye on the money again. He plans on competing in the National Horseshoe Championships in Idaho next summer. Wants to win in bowling here today in Arizona. It's the Odor Eaters Open live coverage exclusive on the PBA Tour here on ESPN. Golden Pin Lanes in Tucson, Arizona. Northwest part of the state for the first time in 3 years. Here's Bryon Smith, 6th frame. Works on the spare. 21-pin deficit.
Walter Ray's feet don't stink, but Dave, there's something I wanted to talk to you about.
Thanks, partner, for bringing that up on national television. Goes down very late. He'll take it.
Bonus.
Nice. 8-pin right there. Ball goes right by it. That is unbelievable. That's a solid 8 all the way, and I don't know what hit the 8-pin.
The trophy in the foreground, you saw that lane comparison. Through the 2 matches, he beat Joe Ciccone in the wild card. Looks to double 7 frame. Gets it.
And in my opinion, a huge shot for Bryon Smith because he looks a little lost on that lane. And Walter Ray Williams Jr., in my opinion, is zeroed in now. 3 shots. The first 3 shots trying to get dialed in. He's made the adjustments, and the last 3 shots have been dead flush perfect.
Walter Ray devotes about 10 hours a week on his website, which includes the exploits and the horseshoe pitching we told you about, and mostly this time of year about bowling. He and the rest of the PBA pros are off to the Days in Open. Don Carter's All-Star Lanes West in Dallas. Chris Barnes tries to defend the title. That's next week, 12:30 Eastern Time on ESPN. And the Real Deal Classic, Bel Air Bowl in Belleville, Illinois. Look at the Pro-Ams, though, folks, for in the St. Louis, Illinois area. Different center. We are marching on to the World Championship, Eastern Michigan University, Ypsilanti. The arena there, plenty of great seats available. Log on. PBA Tour's website for arena tickets today. Lock those up, folks, because we are getting closer to Ypsilanti. Another big shot from Walter Ray.
Makes the adjustment. Here's the big, huge loft. The hand rotating around the side, the ball hitting that bumper right, and pin carry. Just
4-bagger and a 31-pin lead.
Just when it looked like Walter Ray was going to have trouble bowling a big game, spare, 5-bagger.
Make it 5, excuse me. 8th frame. Looks for the turkey ball here. Smith needs them badly. Yikes. 4-9.
On his good lane, too. Walter Ray is the best at going straight on the tour, and he's not going straight. He's hooking it. And I think that Bryon Smith's shot from the first game to this game has gone away. And I think that Bryon probably should have thrown some shots from in and tried to hook it more. He's more than capable of doing that, but it's hard to do when this is what he's done the entire week.
Trying to convert and whiffs. Leaves the 4-9. And a late open frame puts him down 47 pins. Disastrous late trouble. Folks from Odor Eaters are here. Jim Healy, the marketing director, and Steve Berger, vice president, media planning. Incorporated, the parent company of Odor Eaters. Thanks so much again for their great contributions to our event here in Tucson with our staff, passing out the Odor Eaters freebies. It's great today to see all the contribution. 8-pin up there. Avoids the double wood, but big trouble thanks to the late open.
Just lost. Straight and hard's not looking good right now. Robert Smith hooked it, bowled a big game. Walter Ray Williams Jr., his version of trying to hook it looks good. The straight and hard shot does not look like it's the road you want to be on.
Real significance of greatness today was seen from Walter Ray Williams Jr. and the ability to adapt to what we're seeing. Speaking of greatness on the ice, how about Martin Brodeur? President Trophy winner, best goalie last year. LA Kings and the Devils coming up 2 o'clock Eastern Time here on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com. And special thanks to our director, Scott Katz, who's come all the way from Jersey, giving up his season ticket at the Meadowlands to watch the Devil game to be with us today. Wasn't that nice of him?
Very nice of him. Thanks, Scotty.
Look out high. Wow, there's some trouble late. 4-10.
Bryon Smith can strike out for 201. Walter Ray Williams Jr., even if he opens, would be going at a 220 pace underneath the mark in the 10th frame. It's all but wrapped up.
Kick it across the lane, nearly did. Across that deck to the 10.
Match is over officially.
So we're going to fast track right to our commercial break after this ball. Walter Ray Williams Jr. will wrap it up. When we return, we'll give you the final score, but it's over. So the trip to Bryon Smith trying to make the final 10, and Walter Ray Williams Jr. in a bid for a 40th career title. Trying to get that much closer. So Earl Anthony's record of 41 continues next. Walter Ray Williams Jr. with all of his fans defeats Bryon Smith. He's off to the finals, leading us to the Geico Direct Championship recap. Randy?
Earlier in the wildcard match, Bryon Smith defeated Joe Ciccone by the score of 268 to 255. Joe Ciccone big split with 10 claim cost in the match. Semifinal number 1, it was Robert Smith defeating Rick Steelsmith by the score of 235 to 211. And Walter Ray Williams Jr. defeats Bryon Smith by the score 224 to 191, setting up a great championship match for the PBA Odor Eaters Open.
That's our Geico Direct Championship recap. 39 career titles for Walter Ray Williams Jr. Maximum Bob has 5. Who wins another? We find out next. This is the pressure point, all the drama, folks, of the PBA Tour, the final match. How did we get this far? The other results. The bottom line, the winner takes home $40,000. Runner-up, one of these two has at least clinched $20,000. Rival tour points as well. Robert Smith and Walter Williams Jr. are in the exempt tour. Walter Ray has won a major already this year. Smith won in Omaha, Nebraska to begin our tour season on the U.S. side. But still, Robert Smith told us last night, big goal to make that top 8, the March to the World Championship in Ypsilanti, Michigan, and get himself to the round of Super 16. That's his goal. He's 15th. Well, made that in tour points. This is 15th career TV appearance, so he's very close to that top 8 and a good start for him.
Has experience going against the greatest player in the sport. All even.
Look at all those title matches. Talk about experience. That's why you make shots like that, leading us to the Baby Ruth real deal matchup.
Walter Ray's average coming down a bit in the last match. Pretty tight though. Robert Smith has slight edge in average. With a win, Walter Ray can be the 3rd player to win here 3 times.
Among some pretty elite companies, he's already got that distinction. As the 4-7 is up. And Deadeye a little bit surprised at that.
Walter Ray Williams Jr. was going with the loft and the big hook, had some practice prior to the start of this match. He is now going straight with less loft. You can see he was losing his reaction at the end of the last game. Just trying to figure out a way to get it done.
Speaking of Robert Smith and the points, we told you he was at least 12th coming in. That goes way up now that he's into the finals. Said he was actually considering not competing in a couple events here down the stretch. He's already exempt. Thinking maybe I'll take a week off, just rest up. His hand, he said, is really beaten up. Ring finger, especially on that right hand, is really chewed up from all the games he bowled last week at the U.S. Open in his native Southern California. He said, hey, I'm 12, I'm so close to the top 8. Why not keep going?
Wow, did that hook.
Well, it's all about getting into the top 8 for the season-ending World Championship. You get into the top 8 in that tournament, it's probably one of the easiest tournaments to win. If you're not in the top 8, without question, the hardest tournament to win. Right now, Robert Smith shooting a 3.610.
Look out. Wow. Uh-oh. Does he ever throw that ball hard?
Well, if there's any question as to how fast Robert Smith throws it,
what do we
check this
say
out.
about a hard hat that all our crew needs? Look out, there it comes.
Look out.
It's a really good thing there's protective glass in front of that very expensive ESPN camera. That's all I can say. Especially when this guy's throwing it.
Do not attempt this at home.
2 or 3 opening frames, and things are even now with Walter Ray Williams Jr. A championship on the line. Remember, Walter Ray had not made a show in the first half of the year, was completely dumbfounded at what was going on. How about 4 of 6? Second half of the year with shots like that, all starting with that big victory early.
Yeah, in the second half of the year, in about 4 tournaments, he made $150,000. Prior to that, he was like 32nd on the point list and 29th on the money list. Boy, talk about turning it around. This match all tied after 3.
Last week in Anaheim at the Convention Center, our 3rd major of the year, he lost to Bryon Voss, 260 to 214 after beating Oscar Palermo of 228 to 198. He leaves the 10-pin, and he's a little surprised at that.
From the first match to the last, the scores have gradually decreased. And part of the reason for that is this right here, carry. Ball's not getting there the right way. The carry percentage has gone way down. And when you see Walter Ray do that, he's like, well, what am I supposed to do? I threw it perfect, and I still get 9.
44-year-old Walter Ray Williams Jr. will love the ball until he's 50 or so. Can't imagine any end to how well he's bowled. Watch out if you're Robert Smith. Oh, bidding for a trophy here in Tucson, Arizona. PBA Odor Eaters Open. We are the final 2. Walter Ray Williams Jr. and Robert Smith. What was Robert doing in the commercial break, Randy?
Well, he's looking at the lines that the balls make going down the lane when he starts to move oil. Right now, trying to look at where the oil starts, where it stops, where the streaks are, trying to find a line to get his ball to the pocket on that right lane. Remember, his last shot on that right lane went high.
Saw those huge numbers with strikes. We knew with pattern E, the shorter oil pattern, which perfectly fits Smith's game because it's shorter on the backside of the lane, more friction, which helps the big boomer style he has with that big hook and the pace. All beneficial to Smith. Can he carry it all the way through?
Oh!
10-pin.
All right, good move. Good move. Good move.
Same kind of deal. Gets to the pocket, gets 9. This is what happened to all these players' opponents. See these streaks right here? They're going this way. That's what Robert Smith is looking at.
Breakdown of the oil. Shorter pattern E. Smith ball, look out. No more glass back there to break. He's already done some damage. We're going to bill him for that or what?
I don't know, but you think the fighters like watching Robert Smith come into the building? Take a look at this. 3-6-10. Ow!
More than worthy of the Uniroyal Tower rock and roll. Absolutely can crank that spare ball. It's entertaining to watch. Can be dangerous behind the pin deck.
Oh, wiggle it. Wiggle it.
4 up for Smith.
These things are just
A little too
blowing up
quick,
fast.
a little too late is the difference with 4-pin, 10-pin. This ball gets to the break point and just jumps off of it too hard. You see him trying to wave it off. 4-pin standing. Look out.
Special thanks to Pete Tontis, the general manager here at Golden Pin Lanes. His great hospitality for us.
Pete Tontis sitting next to him with his grandchildren, Peter and Nicole, 10 and 7. Says they're my pride and joy, Randy.
Enjoying the great seats right behind Walter Ray Williams Jr. They're watching this on lane 12. Blisters the rack. 6 times tying the late great Earl Anthony as Walter Ray Williams Jr. You ask Walter Ray about how he fits in with the all-time greats. He says, well, I hadn't really thought about myself as an equivalent to Earl Anthony because he had fewer years than I did and accomplished more in fewer years. But it's hard to argue his greatness.
Well, you're asking me who I think is the greatest, it's Walter Ray Williams Jr., bar none. He's done it for too long, different equipment, different lane conditions. He bowls great on everything.
As we mentioned earlier, incredible greatness of reacting to his current environment and the ability to adjust so well.
You saw what he did in the first match that he bowled with that big loft and turn, and now look what he's doing. Straight and firm around the second arrow, his hand up the back, trying to control the straight line of the pocket. He's just in complete control of his game. He can do whatever he wants to a bowling ball when he wants.
Wow. Through the broken glass behind the pin deck. Smith is perfect. He's down 11 pins, striking in the 6th.
Watch this. This ball goes out for burger and fries and comes back with steak and baked potato. Look out, broken glass. Duck. That's sick. That is really sick.
Is the only reason we haven't seen Robert Smith between Omaha with Patterny and now because he bowls so well on this easier pattern, the shorter pattern, due to his game?
No, he bowls well on high friction patterns. The shorter patterns lend itself to his style. He can be himself and throw hard.
That's what he likes. Does not like these softer touch patterns at all because, as you can see, he loves to throw it so hard. Double wood here, the 2-8.
Right now, I think it's just a bad ball choice. He makes the adjustment off the 4-pin. Watch this ball hang. I think he needs a little bit more aggressive ball on that left lane. The right lane looks like he has a fairly good look from his last shot.
And perfect so far, multi-pin conversions, trying to keep that going.
With all that friction to the right, this spare this week was a piece of cake.
Covers nicely. Robert Smith, Walter A. Williams Jr., PBA Tour moves on to Dallas, Texas. The action starts at 12:30 Eastern Time, 9:30 on the West Coast. Here on ESPN, don't miss the best bowlers in the world from Dallas. Big D. For more info, log on to ESPN.com. Days in Open coming your way as Chris Barnes tries to defend his title. From the hometown folks. Back to Deadeye. Oh, yeah. And he's right on the money again.
Well, when I say Walter A. Williams Jr. is the best ever, I've got a little ammo to back it up. 39 titles, 2 away from Earl. Almost $3.5 million in earnings. 6-time Player of the Year, same as Earl. Hall of Fame inductee in '95. 6 majors.
Notice Deadeye because of all those World Horseshoe Pitching Championships. He competed in a couple of those over the Christmas break between the Tournament of Champions, leaving there the 6-10, didn't like it, and the second half opening event in Seattle.
You don't see it happen very often, but that was a bad shot that Walter Ray just threw there. Working on a 3-bagger, really could have put it to Robert Smith, and he threw it bad.
Kings Devils, defending Stanley Cup champs against LA, East against West there. It's all coming up as soon as we wrap up business. And that's from Jersey here on ESPN. Smith is down 19 now, works on a spare 8th frame coming up for Robert. With 5 career titles, he's won a major. Told us last night that after winning in Omaha, he tried very carefully not to be lackadaisical, to let down, because he had earned the exemption already. He's made match play quite a bit. Despite the lack of appearances on the show, he's had a very consistent year. As we mentioned, 12 points coming in.
Very consistent year, very good year.
What to do?
Taking a re-rack, trying to get his thoughts together to figure out what to do on this left lane.
Robert Smith is exempt. He won that exemption by winning in Omaha to start our season stateside. Takes a re-rack here. 50 players from points and winners from this year. Tour trials next summer. And weekly tour qualifier spots as well to make up the exclusive exempt 64-man field next season. Both these men are in already. Got plenty of great bowlers right now on the outside looking in. Yourself, Parker Bowen III, some big names, legends of our sport.
Come on! Yeah!
Dominant challenge for them to make it. Just like our moment here. And Smith has the big strike. Foundation frame in the 9th.
Huge, huge shot. I'm going to tell you why. With that strike in the 9th frame, Robert Smith can shoot 229.
Come on! Yeah, good move!
You think he knows the score? That would force Walter Ray to strike in the 9th. 10th, and 11th to lock up this match. Walter Ray going at 218 pace. 3 in the 10th, he'll shoot 238. Excuse me, 1 in the 9th and 3 in the 10th.
That's what he needs for a 40th career win.
Here's the big one, though. The first ball in the 10th frame, if he does not strike on this ball, Robert Smith can double in the 10th and win. If he throws 2 in the 10th, Walter Ray will win his 40th championship, only 1 away from the late, great Earl Anthony. 2 strikes, 2 pins, he wins.
Walter Ray never thought prior to this season he would come even close to Earl's record this year. Inching closer. To get there, needs a big strike again. 10 pin.
Oh, it's not good.
Wow. Made a great shot. Big O ring at 10, and right now, Robert Smith can steal victory from Walter Ray Williams Jr. We're going to factor in that Walter will make this with a strike. Walter Ray will shoot 218. If Robert Smith strikes on the first ball and gets 9 spare, we have a tie. First things first, the spare.
Takes care of the 10 pin and the mark.
Now, Walter Ray must strike on this ball to force Robert Smith to throw 2 in the 10th to win. This is equally as big. And we've seen some strange things happen in 10th frames this year.
Gets it. So he forces Robert Smith's hand. Clutch shot from Walter Ray again.
This is the one Walter Ray wanted on the last shot. Perfect in the pocket. Robert looks up. Robert knows, okay, I need 2. Another re-rack. He's not buying time because he just sat on the bench for a while watching Walter Ray bowl the 9th and 10th frame. He doesn't like the configuration of the pins.
These are big shots, folks. $40,000 on the line. NHL special coming your way here on ESPN. Kings, Devils. The Continental Airlines Arena. That is next. As soon as you wrap up business here in Tucson. First of 2, does he have it? Yes!
Wow, wow, that's 1. One strike, he's a winner.
Walter Ray knows it's on the powerful right arm now of Robert Smith. Bidding for his 6th career title, 2nd of this season. Big points to the top 8. $40,000 in prize money. All on this shot. Robert Smith does it. Needed 2 in the 10th, he gets him. And he's a winner on the PBA Tour one more time.
He does it in Robert Smith fashion. He just really puts the touch on that last shot and shreds the round.
Career title number 6 for Maximum Bob. He knocks off one of the all-time greats in Walter Ray Williams Jr. Needed 2 in the 10th. He got them both. Clutch shots, big points, big prize money. What a moment for Robert Smith of SoCal. ESPN's exclusive live coverage of the PBA Odor Eaters Open is brought to you by Cambridge Credit Counseling. Log on to nodet.com and find out how good it feels to be debt-free. By the official candy bar of the PBA, Baby Ruth from Nestle, the real deal. And by Uniroyal, the official tire of the PBA Tour. Uniroyal tires trusted by American families since 1892. Great golf and beautiful Tucson, Arizona. But congratulations right now go to Robert Smith as he wins. Be sure to join us next week. PBA Odor Open from Dallas, Texas. It's been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on ESPN.com. Devils Kings coming up. Now for the entire crew, our partner Randy Peterson. It's Dan Bryan saying so long from Tucson. One play falls short to Robert Smith. Let's take you down to Jersey. Kings and Devils.